I keep starting the video, and anyway, I'm in line at the Starbucks at the crack of dawn here, and there's plenty of cars. It's the medical center on Wurzbach, this busiest, it used to be the busiest street in San Antonio. But anyway, so I was talking about Howard Schultz, the founder of Starbucks, and I think he's like, he keeps going back and forth, into semi-retirement. Then he gets back on. Then he gives up. So, anyway, yeah, I'm following him. He does videos, like there's some videos on the internet of him talking. He's a really interesting person. But anyway, so I love Starbucks. Because I was homeless in Manhattan, on the streets of Manhattan, and that's a story in and of itself, and it has to do with the shelter that I was in Brooklyn, and the mobster that was the director. Okay, she threatened me. All right, she said to me, all I have to do is pick up this phone, and they'll lock you up, right? No questions asked, right? And she was right. She could do that. She could accuse me of anything because, it's just standard practice that if you're running a shelter, you're going to have problems. So nobody will ever question, the word of the staff there. Anyway, the reason why I came face to face with this woman like this was because all I was trying to do was simply make a legitimate complaint. I wasn't making a threat of a lawsuit or anything. She was just hyper territorial, okay? Anyway, so, which is very mobster mentality, okay? So, I wouldn't be surprised if she was connected, honestly. But anyway, so what I was complaining about was the fact that my husband, soon to be ex-husband, was having symptoms of a stroke, which he was, and he has a family history of what do they call those? The little mini strokes, Anyway, so he was having symptoms of a stroke. We called EMS. EMS comes, and the security stops. The security stops the door, stands, so the ambulance can't close the door, okay, and go to the hospital, right? So that's what I was, and why were they doing that? Because it was more important. This is a life or death situation, right? It's an ambulance being called out on someone who's having a stroke symptoms. And, hang on a second. Okay. Oh, that's right. I don't need to look for money. Having stroke symptoms, seconds count, and this jackass is holding the door open and trying to talk to the paramedics to find out if he's drunk. Of course, you seem drunk if you're having a stroke, right? But it's he's getting in an ambulance. Hello, clueless. Oh, thank you so much. Now, I wasn't that rude when I was talking to her. I wasn't antagonizing her. She was just being a mobster. Okay? And she threatened me. And I realized I had no defense because, it's just typical. They just expect violence in shelters. And I knew, she could do whatever she wanted to. So my soon-to-be ex-husband was in the in the hospital when I had this conversation. And I just called him up and I said, Jesus, we can't stay here anymore. And so I thought to myself, rather than be in this woman's territory, right? Better off in the street where, it's nobody's territory, right? So I'm not threatening anybody. Well, I mean, homeless people, they're tolerated. There's not a lot of territoriality until you start panhandling, okay? But if you're not panhandling, people are going to leave you alone. So, I mean, you could have their corner, okay? But anyway, so I hit the street. I packed up everything I could carry, which wasn't everything. And I had just cleaned the room. Oh my God, it was so filthy. And I had cleaned that place, that room, like I sanitized it. It was so disgusting. Anyway, so I hit the street. And you know what? God sent me a message. Because I hadn't been walking 15 minutes. I look down on the ground. There's a wallet on the ground, and the wallet has no ID in it, and it's tooled leather in a Western style, right? In New York City, right? And in the wallet is $300 fucking dollars in cash. It was a post-it note from God. It's so awesome. I've had shit like that happen to me. Like, I was kind of like born under some weird planetary influences. And one of them was kind of a hardship that I don't have opportunities. However, I have divine intervention. I don't have any opportunities. What that means is like good luck. Easy things come to you. Somebody says, hey, you know what, I got plenty. Why don't you just have some or something like that, opportunities or, lucky things like, winning $1,000 on a scratch-off, 50-cent scratch-off thing, I don't have that kind of luck. I have divine intervention is what I have. The only time that anything like that comes to me is exactly when I need it. Okay, it's not a mistake. It's not an accident. It's not good fortune. It's not, because my planetary influences say no opportunities. And coincidentally, the only time I get stuff like that is exactly when I need it. You do the math. Don't believe in God? No problem. You know what my son says? After I sat down and had a talk with him, because he was like leaning in the direction of Satanism and all kinds of weird shit like that. And I said, I sat in the car with him when we were coming. We'd taken him to the ER to check out his hand, because he'd smashed his hand up against the door trying to stop his dad from going outside to smoke a cigarette. And I was worried maybe he broke a bone or something. So anyway, we're sitting in the parking lot after the examination and the x-ray and everything. And pretty big kid. Anyway, I made a case for God, the existence of God, which had nothing to do with the Bible, Okay, I don't, I understand, arguments. And you cannot use, if somebody didn't believe in God, the Bible doesn't have any weight, it doesn't mean anything. So I made a different case, right? By the time I got done with the kid, this is what he said. I can see that believing in God and having faith is like having an insurance policy. I said, yes, it is. So the other day I was joking around with him because he went back to eating pork. And he came to me and he said, after spending time with his uncle and his dad, who are just like, white toast, and they eat a lot of pork. And he says, Mom, he starts complaining about what they've been feeding him, right? And he says, I am so sick of sausage. He admitted it. I sent him a text the other day, and I said, are you, have you had your fill of pork yet? Are you ready to give it up again? You had enough? I told him he wanted me to keep putting on Shabbat, and I said, you're not going to live kosher? And you want me to put on Shabbat? Forget it! Here, we're celebrating Shabbat. Here's a nice pork roast for you. Please! How about some sausage for dinner? Come on! Get real! Oh, well. Oh, this was just a fluff video.